Hello and welcome to the Forgeborn Finishing School. I'm KCKid and I'll be analyzing Forgeborn battles to help take your game to the next level. Hello everyone, KCKid and Koar here. We just wrapped up our Forgeborn Finishing School's Digitize Dustup charity tournaments auction and we blew past our $500 goal. When I set that goal, I didn't expect to hit it. Like, honestly, I thought it was a stretch goal at the time. But this community has been amazing. Blew right past it, Greg.
The generosity from the community and Stoneblade itself has been outstanding. I mean, I think we got to increase the goal.
Yeah. I was thinking, maybe $1,000. You think we can get there?
1250.
I mean,
I'm looking forward to put boundings on people. Like,
all right.
You think? I mean, we've bloomed past the 500. We haven't even got to the bounty phase. We're gonna have 3 rounds of bounties?
Yes. Yep. 3 weeks of placing bounties here. I tell you what, I'm super excited for the bounties. Also, I've been prepping, the Thundersoar promo packs all day. Upside down. I can't even hold these things straight. So excited. Remember, if you donate $10, minimum $10 to the GoFundMe, all proceeds going to National Alliance on Mental Illness. $10 minimum. You can place that on a bounty. All you got to do is send a direct message on Discord my way. KCKid. Give me your shipping address, and this thing's going out. Free shipping to continental U.S. If you're international, and you want to reach out to me, we'll try to figure something out.
The Thundersoar is awesome. I really like the Forgeborn Finishing School flip on the card there. Using that in the storyline tournament was just awesome. I had a few comments about it, so they look great.
Nice. I had the pleasure of throwing one down in a sealed tournament just recently, and that was a lot of fun. But you were firsthand for that one, so that Thundy worked out well. So, hey, let's talk about some of the content creators, some of the participants of this tournament that really showed up huge also and helped us smash right past that original goal. So here we have up, you can see, those participating in the tournament. These are our teams. This is the breakdown. Guys. We have Nathas, Gaming, reigning world champ right there. And then MooreThanMoost, Forge Guardian, Team Dino Beard with Cardboard Newt and Mundungu. Mundungu, came in second at Worlds, so maybe we'll get another matchup there. And Cardboard Newt's got to steal his name back from Sam.
There you go.
A lot of underlying tones here that are just going to make for some exciting, dramatic, and fun matches. TCCG Roundtable, amazing YouTube channel that breaks down all the weekly news from any of the TCCGs you can imagine. So TCGs, CCGs, they do them all. The Fifth Cycle runs an amazing Discord environment, has the website, the podcast. And then here's one of my favorite ones, and we'll get into these guys a little bit later. AnqueGaming coming through with Any Two Will Do, and pulled Shadow out of the shadows to be his partner here. And then the Charge Plated Podcast, Fizzlesticks and Church, slinging out the podcasts, pretty regularly. Got the Aloyan Blues, so Weekend and Tater Tot Eat a Lot. Tater Tot Eat a Lots. I give him a lot of grief, so hopefully he doesn't watch this episode, but I'm a fan of anyone that just spews undistinguishable sarcasm into chat all the time where no one can figure out what's going on. I find it hilarious, but hopefully he doesn't hear this. So, and Weekend, we've talked about his decks how many times on this series, on this channel. So, and then last but definitely not least, the ShuffleBus. They have their show every week. Love tuning into that. This group of content creators, Greg, really just through the auction smashed through our first ceiling, and now we're gonna raise it up and see if we can get some of the bounties going in and keep pushing here, all for a great cause.
Yeah, I mean, the generosity this group has shown has been amazing. And not just the generosity, the camaraderie and the the community as a whole for this game is outstanding, unreal. It's lost for words. Like, it's great.
And I'm glad you brought up the camaraderie. We're going to get into a pretty entertaining scenario. But if you want to take part in some of that camaraderie, right, we set up just a temporary Discord server just for this event, right? I didn't want to flood all, the other Discords, so we have a temporary one here. I've posted the links, invite queues to that in the other Discords. I'll have it in the video description here. Please join. There's a community channel where you're allowed to chat, interact with all the participants. Throw out your predictions, have fun, banter, join in on the camaraderie. I'm glad you brought that up. So let's take a moment here to look at some of the results of that auction, what we got out of there essentially, and what decks were drafted. So we went through a draft process. All the content creators got to bid their donations, and based off the highest bid donation, they get a draft first out of the pool of 8 Betrayer Digitize decks. So I think it's very interesting. Let's see what these teams valued to play in this tournament.
Yeah, let's do just a quick rundown of each of the decks. And, this one is the Digi guys.
That's correct, yep.
Got won the opportunities to select the first deck out of the potential deck candidates. And this was the one that they chose. So just off the bat, we'll go through these decks, but what is something that stands out to you in this deck?
Yeah, there's a lot of things, but I'm just going to say spell package right off the bat with a devouring creature. Like, that's just a nice little setup there in this deck. It's got some decent spells, and then a devouring. It's a pretty nice setup.
That is, yes, looks great. Since I can't pick that, I'm gonna go with the Forgeborn abilities, right? For Cersei.
Yeah.
I've slowly become a fan of the Soul Siphon at level 2, cycle 2 ability of it. For one of my decks, it works really great, but then you're running. Yes, I use that in my deck with it as well.
Yeah.
And then you got Death Touch and then Army Commander. So, like, some of the things you could do with that Army Commander, if you could get some kind of, what do you have in your digitized blue deck that you're going to pair with it? Do you have some kind of Betrayer that works really well in your blue deck digitized? It has very high potential. So that's why I like this deck.
Yeah, and we'll try to go through these pretty quick, but one other thing I do want to say I kind of find enjoyable is that, a rule in this tournament is if you draw Digitize, you're required to play it during your turn if able. Dizzy and Siphon is kind of a way to potentially play more than one cards while still having to play your Digitize. Like, get a little bit of extra value, and if a Devouring Slime's out there, get a lot of extra value.
And then if we can get a bounty placed on this team or any team, they have to play 2 Digitizes if they happen to have them in their hand, or have the option to play it.
Right. All right, so let's move into our second draft, and that goes to Team Dino Beard with the Heroes of the Pro here. The first Uteran off the board. Just looking at this one, like Mantis, Leyline Vermin, I love to see those. There's a couple other my favorites in there. What are you seeing here, Greg?
Yeah, what I like about this one is just some of the other card packages, like the Druid and the Biologist, kind of give you a different avenue to play against, right? Or play with, because you're pairing it with a Loin, so that gives you some more board, controller going wide options.
Yeah, plays into a little rallying replacement. A lot of those things that Loin likes to do. Absolutely. And then our third draft off the board. Now, this is where things got fun. We had a little camaraderie, like you had mentioned before. So the third team to draft was the Charge Plated Podcast. And they drafted the Wildfire Tiresome Researchers here in Tempest. So we're going to, break this one down a little bit. We're going to break the next deck down a little bit, and then we're going to spin back to that camaraderie. Maybe I got ahead of myself a little bit, Greg. What do you like about the Wildfire Tiresome Researchers?
Yeah, I think for this one, I think it's just a good package overall. I mean, with the Stormcaller and the Thundersoar. I mean, Thundersoar Digitize I think would just be hilarious if that gets pulled off. Like,
Yep, that was the sweet combo wombo that led to the promo package.
what about you
So
on this deck?
yeah, one thing that I really like is Blizzard Shaman and being forced to play Digitizes. So if I Blizzard Shaman and kill all the creatures on the board, and then I only have one creature on the board and I Digitize it, that's good value. Or if I can find a way to have Blizzard Shaman as my only creature on the board and then Digitize it, it gets that extra health. I think we've found over the life of this game at this point that if a Blizzard Shaman lasts on the board and is able to activate more than twice, it becomes a very, very strong mechanic in the game. You know, more than twice at level 1, I should say.
Yeah, so you're kind of playing against that meta that you know that there's digitizing being have to be played. So you're trying to take advantage of that if you can. I like it.
Yep. And, yeah, any health on these Blizzard Shamans lets them get to that pivotal third activation. So then jumping over to the fourth draft, and in the fourth draft slot was the ShuffleBus, and their draft was the Ugly Brand Protectors. Taking a look at this one, it's got that Thundersoar that we mentioned before. The other thing I really like in this deck is the Fire Fist Uranti. Let's get this guy all the way up to level 3, and then let's digitize him and increase his attack and just start hitting face with some big wallops. So what's something else in here, Greg? Sorry, I think I took the highlight there. But...
I mean, that's the benefit of going first there, right?
Yeah.
I think with this one, the Pyromantic Spell Knot I kind of is intriguing to me, and I think could play well. Like Pyromantic, this is just a great keyword, and I think with the right Alloy and Digitize deck, you might be able to take advantage of just making a big beefy dude. So that one I could see being fun to play with in this deck.
One other one that just kind of came to my mind here, thinking of spells. What if you had the bounty on you and you have that awkward double digitize hand, but you kind of get some back value out of it with a free adept? That'd be pretty fun. Hopefully those digitizes didn't go on your opponent's creatures, but hey, at least you got a free blocker now.
There you go.
So let's get back into that. So after the draft concluded, right? Imagine all 8 decks went off the board. So ShuffleBus, who drafted 4th, threw out a trade proposal. First trade of the, Forgeborn Finishing School's Digitize Dustup League. First season, first trade pops right out. ShuffleBus comes out and says, we'll donate $200 to swap draft picks with the Charge Plated podcast. I instantly responded, like, that's not within my power as the commissioner. I would love it because, the more we donate, the best. But Fizzlesticks from the Charge Plated podcast instantly pops on the chat and says, your trade offer is under review. So they're considering it. And then they come back with a counter offer. And this says, okay, you'll donate an extra $110 to the donation. And then every round, you're going to place a $30 bounty on the Charge Plated podcast opponent.
That's amazing.
The value of the original proposition didn't change, right? ShuffleBus said, we're going to pay $200. But then the Charge Plated podcast parlays that into the same money value, but gets total benefit out of having their opponents. And it was never said... it just said the Charge Plated podcast opponent. So that could be the ShuffleBus at any given time, and they got to place a bounty on themselves, right? It's phenomenal. And these two guys were just bantering back and forth about it. Cardboard Newt jumps in, note to self, avoid the Charge Plated podcast. Love it. A lot of great fun. Hopefully that's another reason. Jump in the Discord, y'all, and just join in on the fun. And it's a temporary Discord. We all have a bunch of servers there. It'll get removed after this event, but it's been a blast.
Or maybe we'll archive it and change it for some other event.
Yeah. Good point. I don't know if you saw me looking for Betrayer Gizmos. Next event is in the hopper. So we're going into the 5th draft here, the 5th cycle, aptly at the 5th draft, all lines up. And they pulled away with the Host of Stirring and Howling. And this one's something, Greg. Go ahead.
I don't know how this one fell so far, to be honest. I mean, I know it doesn't have a lot of spells, but I mean, you have a Krogius and you're pairing it into a Loin, so if you can get it digitized with Enhance, like, it just makes it work. Arrogant Bears, just a beat stick power. Just a lot of damage. Like, I mean, you're good. And an underdrop, right? 7 attack, that's a decent underdrop. I'm going to name too many cards in here I actually like. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of creatures I like in this deck. The unfortunate thing is the spell list is just digitized, but I won't go through all of the creatures. Ryan, what are one or two that you like?
Yeah, I'm gonna say one that I like and one that I actually don't like here, just because. Well, Relentless Wanderers. I think this is gonna be great in this event. The more you can keep creatures on the board, the more often your digitizes will be to your benefit, not your opponent's. So I think the Relentless Wanderers is a good play. It's a great card. One that I don't like in this deck, and this is just not for this event, but holistically, I've said it again and again and again. The Basher is my favorite base creature in the game. I don't like Roaring as a Forge Word modifier generally in the game. I think it costs too much stats for what you're getting the modularity to give 2/2 to someone else. I would rather have those stats on the Basher. So
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna disagree with you on this
let's
one.
hear it.
I think the Roaring Basher works in this because you have to pair it into a Loyan, which then gives you access to gizmos and mega gizmos to play the Basher into to actually take advantage of the breakthrough. If I was gonna say one creature that doesn't work in this deck, it's the Kindred Druid, because Kindred is a bad pairing with a Loyan, and there's not really life gain in this deck.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong there. Yep. All
But
right.
I can see what you mean with the Roaring, where it drops this thing
Yeah, I just
down
had to
too
throw it
low.
out there because every chance I get, I'm telling everyone how great Bashers are. So there's the chance where I'm going to say, hey, if you see a Roaring Basher in your deck, maybe you got the bad Basher. But so
That's
moving
fair.
into the sixth draft with got the Alolan Blues, they pulled out with the Auctioning Apprentice Host. This deck has, I think there's a pretty solid spell package, is what I would say. Right up off the bat, and then it's got the Thundersoar, which is great. Here's a card that's kind of been going up on my list. Initially, I wasn't super impressed with the Ice Crusher. I've kind of changed my mind. So let's watch what this Ice Crusher does here. So it's a 5/4 with aggressive and breakthrough because of that stampeding. That's pretty solid. Level 2, 10/5. Level 3, 13/7. Anytime you draw this thing off Forge, you're going to be smashing damage. So that's a card that's kind of risen up on my rankings a little bit. And then I'm stealing a second one here. Sorry, Greg. Hope I don't
Yeah,
steal
you're
your
good.
thunder. This is another card that's risen up on my rankings a little bit. Rhymehorn Charger. A little bit for the same reason. You draw it off Forge, and it's a solid, heavy attack statted creature. But I am amazed with how often I get to proc this second other ability in the general Tempest theme of life with Blizzard Shamans and other things that just kind of damage creatures, battling, Thunder Swords, that type of stuff. I get this guy to proc his second ability all the time, so super value.
Yeah, I think I mean aggressive creatures I think are just, especially big power aggressive creatures, are great. So can't go wrong with those. I'm gonna go out on this one and say Flame Shaper Savant. I like it in this style of tournament because you are pairing it into a Loyan, which has access to just being able to put out a lot of just gizmos, which
Yeah,
then can get you some triggers off of this. So it'd be interesting to see if they pair it into something that uses the Flame Shaper Savant to a decent ability. Obviously, Utera tends to get the best benefit out of it, but I think Aloyn can do a pretty decent job, and this could sneak through and do some damage.
absolutely. Moving into our seventh draft with the TCCG Roundtable, they pulled out the Entering Gemheart Task Force. This one I registered back in February 10th. I think this might have been one of the first ones I scooped up. So anytime I hear the Entering Gemheart Task Force, a little hit of I don't know, serotonin for me. Reminds me of when I started this journey.
I I I think this might be the most balanced of the decks, I mean this, not to take away everything, on this, but the spell package is good.
Mm-hmm.
The creatures are good. Like, it has a lot of utility creatures and utility spells, which might be hard pairing into a Loyan, but it is like Botanimate, Dendrify, Polymorpher, Mantis, Batterhide. Like, I just took like 5 of them from you, but like, its package is very, like, it has a lot of utility.
Yeah, I had this deck ranked up second and third in my own opinions, to be honest. I think you're right. This is just value at every level. Like the Ravager, maybe you could leave that one at home. But it's still a hibernating. So if it goes into a Loin and you just upgrade it, it could still end up having a pretty big payday at a 1320. So, yeah, I agree 100%. I'm amazed it slid down to 7th, and I think the TCCG Roundtable got a great pick here. I'm excited to see how it goes for him, because in this game where you're forced to play Digitize as one, sometimes twice a round, all of your cards that are just above baseline value, even just a little bit, increases your odds greatly, because you don't necessarily get a level the cards you really want to, because sometimes you're forced to play a Digitize instead. And so I think this one stands a pretty good shot.
Which could be the downfall of this deck, though, as well, because you may not be able to level like the Botanimate or the Dendrifies that you want to, or the Polymorph that you need to, right? So, but I do like this one. I think it's just very balanced, and it's got some big hitters.
Yep. And all right, so with the last draft in the 2023 Forgeborn Finishing School Digitize Dustup, team Any Two Will Do decided to, I kind of like this strategy. So they did not bid above the base minimum. And I have a pretty strong feeling that they just saved their capital to place bounties. They're still going to donate. They're still a part of this thing. But they're going to prove that Any Two Will Do. I love the name pick. So they purposefully wanted to wait till the last one. Let everyone else have their pick. We're going to beat you guys all with the deck that you said wasn't going to win, wasn't good enough. And so, here they are with Terror's Drove. Greg, what do you like about this one?
I think that they have some way. I mean, it has the Scourge and the Spite Hydra. So if they can manage to get it in a way, like they have some ways to use creature destruction, right? The Brood Fang. So I think it can punish anybody that is wanting to destroy their creatures. If they can find a way to destroy their own creatures, this deck will do well. Yeah,
and there's 3 of the Betrayers are Tempest, which kind of oftentimes want to destroy things before the combat phase. So Brood Fangs, Hydras are going to pay out. And then you just have hematophagic creatures, 2 of them, to proc your own Brood Fangs, your own Hydras. So they got a lot of decent stuff going in here. Zerath's Will, is that's a bit out of place. But with the hematophagic, you might get it there. And then let's, the Walker. This is a card that flew up all of our lists. I mean, I think you always rated this pretty highly, but I think it's flying up everybody's list as definitely underrated. And you get to throw the Tormenting on there, which is pretty sweet.
Great keyword. Yep.
Yeah. So the last thing we've got here, Greg, Any Two Will Do reached out to me, and they said, hey, we stand by our philosophy, and we stand by Any Two Will Do, our name. And so they have said, we're not going to bring an Aloyan deck to the table of our choice. We want you to choose our Aloyan deck, and you can even do it randomly from whatever collection you so choose. That's how confident they are in their own skills and their ability to take this thing away, which I love. And so, and it's Shadow. If you haven't talked to Shadow, he firmly believes, as a developer in this game, that he could take any 2 decks and play competitively. And I would scoff at most people that make that comment, but I've played against Shadow a good couple times, and he's the only one that could probably do that comment justice. So here it is. I have 24 Aloyan decks with Digitize, all ranging from set 1, set 2. It's got all the Forgeborn makeups: Ironbeard, Crux, Steel Rosetta. And here we got this number picking wheel. And we are
Wheel
gonna
of morality. Spin, spin, spin.
here we go. Right now on air, any two will do is gonna find out what their other half of their deck is gonna be. Look at that. 21.
Right.
Let's see what we get here, Greg. Oh, so close to one of my actual favorite decks down here, the Olmsted's Alarmed Fathers. So close. So
The workers of
the
Gizmo?
workers of the Gizmo.
All right.
Let's see what we got here.
Well, it's unfortunate it's Ironbeard, but
Hey, any two will do. Any two will do.
they have another Forgeborn they can use.
Yeah, let's see what their Cersei looks. Now we got to look at what their Cersei looks like.
Yeah,
It's not the worst.
That's about right.
Yeah, it's not great. All right, the workers of the Gizmo. Here we go. Scypian Augmentation. That they got two mages.
Overseer.
2 mages and a Scypian Augmentation. I love this bouncing between 2 decks here and looking. Yeah, it looks like they have a solid just 2 mages. That's going to be a tough one.
They have the Overseer. They have a Palladium Pulse Mage. Camouflage, stealth creature, can always do some work.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 3 mages. I missed one. What did I miss? Oh, Oracle. Yep. Yeah, that's a good one.
Spirit Forge Sentinel, I believe, is another stealth creature.
Yep, stealth.
So
there it is. So I'm going to send this deck link over to Ankh and Shadow. They're going to let us know which Forgeborn they choose. Drop down in the comments below. You've seen them both. You've seen the decks. Here's Ironbeard again. Here's Cersei. I have a feeling that if the community is a resounding pick down in the comments, maybe they'll just take that as well. Let's see. But I'm curious to see which Forgeborn you would pick in these 2 decks. Take a chance, drop a comment below. Cersei or Ironbeard. With that, I think we're going to wrap things up. Super excited to get this started. Last thing I want to talk about is that on Monday at 1700 Central, we're going to drop the round pairings for first round. We're going to throw them in the Discord. And then after that, that's where it starts essentially the 48 hour. I think it's 45 hour. You got to give me a little bit of time to crunch the bounty numbers and things like that. But ending on 2 p.m. Central on Wednesday, that's when the bounties shut off. So that's your window to go onto the GoFundMe and donate your money to enact those bounties, right? We already know ShuffleBus is placing a bounty out there, $30 on the charge-plated podcast opponent. Who else can we get bounties on, right? I would love to see it on all of these teams. And, so all of these streamers, we're going to have all of their, the Twitch channels, the YouTube channels, the podcast channels, all of that's going to be in the video description. All of these teams are going to be talking about their games, hopefully sharing footage so you can see these things. The Twitch streamers, you're probably going to get to see these things live if you're able to catch them. So get those bounties enacted, be a part of it, and let's see a bunch of Digitizes fly.
it's going to be exciting. Looking forward to it and getting to see some Digitizes being played.
Yeah, one thing that Greg and I talked about, and I can't promise it for this first week. Sorry, everyone. I got a work trip here. Got a little busy. Life's getting away. But we are going to commentate some matches. I just got to figure out the technology piece. Greg and I got a little taste of commentating a match at Worlds. Thank you, ShuffleBus. That was a lot of fun. So we're going to try it again here with some Digitizes flying. So look for that in the second week. We're going to commentate some videos, get them out to y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for the support. It's been amazing, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for attending this lesson of the Forgeborn Finishing School. If you like this video, please subscribe, comment, or consider donating to our Patreon account. We look forward to our next lesson.